Voter bill hearing canceled. Why a controversial bill that could criminalize helping someone register to vote is on hold for now. Budget boosts from classrooms to ambulances and more. Wake County's budget is out. Why the tax increases are not the same for every homeowner.
It's a mild start to the month, but the heat and humidity are ramping up soon. Plus, I'm tracking our first chance for tropical development of this hurricane season.
Happening right now at 7 o'clock, the Wake County Board of Commissioners is debating right now how to spend more than $2 billion of your tax dollars. The latest budget will set aside roughly $1 billion for education alone, including more than $700 million for Wake County public schools. WRAL's Eric Miller joins us live from Raleigh. Eric, not everyone agrees with how this money should be spent.
Gerald, we've heard a lot of debate here outside of the Wake County Board of Commissioners meeting in just the last hour. And in just the last few minutes, those commissioners finally took a vote on what's been the real sticking point, which is exactly how much money they should set aside for Wake County public schools. Commissioners were looking at an increase for the school district of at least $35 million. They've just taken a vote. It passed 6-1 to actually give the district a little bit more money, their full request of $40 million. To make that happen, they're having to hold off on a planned $1 million increase to a new affordable housing program, as well as 12 new EMS positions that they were planning on hiring. They may have some money in the budget later in the year to make that a reality. It's not clear at this point, but they are going to be giving the school district an increase of $40 million. Of course, education, the biggest part of this budget, but there is a lot more money in here as well for things like new parks, future bus rapid transit routes, and more. Property taxes will stay flat overall, with two notable exceptions. One, a voter-approved increase to help build or improve libraries across the county. The other for a new fire tax district across the state. Now, of course, this debate is still ongoing with the budget tonight. We're going to stay on top of it as it continues to play out. We'll let you know what's going on here in Wake County. In Raleigh, Eric Miller, WRAL News.
This is Brian Schrader with breaking news in the WRAL Live Center. All new in the past hour, a Zebulon Town Commissioner resigned at a meeting this evening. Beverly Clark served for 20 years as a town commissioner, and tonight she said that she was unhappy with the way commissioners have been working together and supports the idea of an entirely new town board amid a leadership crisis there. Here's a little bit of what Clark had to say about her decision.
It's the way we're working, the way we're handling motions or putting things on hold and not getting through a lot. But we have been without a manager for a year now and have no sign of one yet. We just have an interim. So, we just need some strong leadership.
You can see here that she was met with a round of applause from members of the community who packed that town hall boardroom. There has been a lot of turnover in some of the top spots in Zebulon's town government. Back in April, the town manager and the assistant town manager resigned within 4 days of each other. And a recent petition asked several commissioners on the town board to resign, and Clark herself signed that petition. WRAL's Heidi Kirk is there in Zebulon. Look for her reporting later this evening on WRAL News, beginning at 10 on Fox 50.
All right, thank you, Brian. Protesters are expected to gather at the legislative building tomorrow to oppose a bill that would limit voter registration. The bill would make it a crime to register someone else to vote if you are not a DMV or elections employee. It would also ban voter registration drives by individuals or private groups. Our Capitol Bureau Chief Laura Leslie tells us a hearing on the bill scheduled for tomorrow was canceled tonight.
You've probably seen folks with clipboards like this at a local sporting event or concert or a festival. Usually they're with political groups or civic groups, and they're trying to help people get signed up to vote. Well, a bill that was scheduled for a hearing tomorrow would have made that a misdemeanor. But that hearing was postponed after a protest was organized and amid some questions about whether it's even legal.
Ann Webb is with Common Cause NC, a group that conducts voter registration drives.
What we're talking about is a volunteer sitting in the church lobby after the service, offering to help other members register to vote. We're talking about somebody who decides to go and sit outside a baseball game and assist voters.
Webb says voters of color, rural voters, elderly, and college-age voters are groups that often use these drives to register or update their registrations. She says it has not caused any widespread problems.
Banning the whole process of assisting voters and getting registered really just seems like an effort to keep people from registering.
House Bill 127 would make it a misdemeanor for a private citizen or group to provide a voter registration form to someone else. They could only give out sample forms with instructions for how to find and fill out the real thing at an elections office or the DMV. Jim Womack is an election integrity advocate. He says there was a case of a political group using a voter registration drive to get people's phone numbers and email addresses.
I think we all agree that we don't want people breaking the law using the voter registration process for that purpose.
But Womack said banning voter registration drives outright would violate the National Voting Rights Act, which explicitly says voter registration drives must be allowed.
It gives private organizations the right to do voter registration drives, and there's nothing the state can pass into law that could stop that.
The sponsor of the bill did not respond to our question about the apparent conflict with federal law. Laura Leslie, WRAL News, Raleigh.
We asked the committee chair why the meeting was canceled, and they have not responded. Let's get you caught up with 5 things you should know right now. The FBI is offering a $15,000 reward for information leading to an arrest in the Catawba County mass shooting. A 58-year-old man was killed and 11 others injured when shots were fired at a house party near Hickory yesterday. Several agencies are investigating, including the Catawba County Sheriff's Office, the FBI, and the SBI. They're asking anyone who may have video of the shooting to send it to the FBI. Scotland Next police chief is off the job. Chief Tommy Parker's resignation was effective May 28th, 5 days after the SBI announced it's looking into the department's handling of the 2021 murder of LaToya Lawrence. Her family accused officers of not properly investigating and mishandling evidence in that case. The Halifax County DA dropped the charges against 2 people charged, saying there wasn't enough evidence to fully prosecute them. Former Chief Parker and at least one other officer could face their own charges related to their handling of this case. Raleigh police are investigating a slew of car break-ins near Crabtree Valley Mall. They happened last month at several hotels, apartment complexes, and workplaces in that area. Police reports obtained by WRAL show guns and cash stolen from some cars. We've asked Raleigh police if the break-ins are connected and if any suspects have been arrested, and they have yet to get back to us. The Lee County Sheriff's Office is offering a $10,000 reward for information leading to an arrest in a 30-year-old murder case. Willard Eugene Smith is wanted for the murder of Rodney Cotton in 1995. Smith, who is now 46, is known to use multiple aliases, including Willard Partridge. If you know where he is, call the Sheriff's Office tip line. A celebration of life was held for former Smithfield Town Councilman Marlon Lee, who died in late May from medical complications. His family and friends attended his funeral today at the Clayton High School Gymnasium. The St. Augustine's graduate was a member of the 1997 CIAA Championship basketball team. In recent years, he coached the girls' basketball team at Clayton High. He was buried at Sunrise Memorial Cemetery in Smithfield. We are just 2 days into hurricane season, and already there's something to watch off the southeast coast. Meteorologist Kat Campbell's on the WRAL weather patio to fill us in on something brewing in the tropics. Kat?
You know, the most likely scenario here is that this develops into a low pressure system. The question mark is whether or not it then takes on tropical characteristics. The odds of that pretty low right now at just 10%, but the location of this first National Hurricane Center outlook of this season is very close to home for us. So this is something we'll be watching very closely for you over the next week. If it were to develop, it would develop sometime likely in the Thursday through Saturday timeframe off our coast. The main concern would just be some rain and rip current risk. And those concerns really aren't going to change whether or not this becomes tropical. If it were to become tropical, and the European model does give that about a 30 to 40% chance of happening, then it's not going to have very much time to strengthen. One thing working against it, Saharan dust. This is dry, dusty air that may help to limit its development chances. I'll have a closer look at how things could play out this weekend on future casts coming up.
All right, Kat, thank you. We'll see you in a little bit. NBC Nightly News with Tom Yamas debuted tonight on WRAL. Our Dan Haggerty recently spoke with him about his new role and what he plans to bring to the broadcast that is watched by millions.
Nightly News today marks a new chapter at NBC Nightly News.
NBC Nightly News with Tom Yamas.
Tom Yamas takes the reins from Lester Holt as the anchor and managing editor of Nightly News.
Part of the job is delivering the news and reading what's on the teleprompter, but it's a small part. Most of it is getting out there, reporting, talking to your teams in the field, and making sure we have the best newscast.
Yamas began his career in Miami, first as an intern at Telemundo, later as a reporter at the local NBC station.
This Bank of America was robbed yesterday by a...
Since then, he's covered major breaking news, wildfires, presidential campaigns, the Olympics, and more.
NBC News has been doing this for decades, and we are the best in the business. And when news really matters to you, we're the place to turn to.
Yamas says he wants to bring reporter sensibility to Nightly News.
I don't think you can ever lose your humanity as a journalist, because I think if you do, if you lose that human touch, you lose the story, right? We're dealing with people's lives and human beings here. But I think if you, like I said earlier, if you report the news without fear or favor, and you're tough but fair, I didn't invent that, right? Those tenets of journalism have been around forever. But if you follow them, I think you get the job right, and you can bring those to every story.
Was the first Latino journalist to host the weeknight edition of Nightly News. You can watch him weeknights now at 6:30, immediately following our news at 6 o'clock. Coming up, cracking down on fentanyl. North Carolina leaders pushing new strategies to stop the flow of fentanyl into this state. Their proposals to prevent overdose deaths. Plus, traveling with guns, an uptick in firearms discovered at RDU checkpoints. Why this is happening and the effect it could have on your next flight. The TSA says RDU International is seeing more guns at security checkpoints. 34 guns have been found at the airport so far this year. That's on track with last year's numbers. However, there have been 150,000 fewer travelers this year. The same number of guns, much fewer travelers going through the airport security.
Anytime TSA detects a firearm, it can slow down the line or actually close the line down. So you're not only affecting yourself and slowing yourself down, you're slowing down the hundreds to thousands of people who are behind you.
Now, you are allowed to travel with a weapon, though there are rules. They must be unloaded and locked in a hard-sided case and inside a checked bag. Also, you have to tell your airline that you have a gun when you check in. The fentanyl crisis continues to devastate families in North Carolina, even as overdose deaths decline. State leaders are now pushing new strategies to stop the flow of fentanyl into our communities. WRAL investigative documentary reporter Kristen Severance explains what's being done and what is still at stake.
Currently, we're losing about 9 North Carolinians every day to a fentanyl overdose.
We told you in our WRAL Crisis Next Door documentary that fentanyl has destroyed the lives of thousands of North Carolinians.
We're not going to be quiet anymore.
And we know we can't save a child, because if we could have saved a child, we would have saved our two.
Fentanyl is a synthetic opioid. When manufactured by pharmaceutical companies and approved by the FDA, it can be safely used to treat patients in severe pain. The synthetic fentanyl, leading to many deaths, is made in unregulated labs, pushed by drug cartels, and put in various drugs as a cheap way to produce extremely strong substances. While overdose deaths are down 30% in North Carolina from May of 2023 to May of 2024, federal and state law enforcement officials say fentanyl continues to be trafficked in the United States. North Carolina Attorney General Jeff Jackson is leading an effort to target the Chinese social media app WeChat. Jackson claims the company is facilitating cross-border money laundering that helps finance the fentanyl drug trade in the U.S.
You need to show us the exact steps that you're going to take to stop this.
Governor Josh Stein is calling for a fentanyl control unit made up of agents at the State Bureau of Investigation and special prosecutors at the Department of Justice.
The fentanyl control unit would dedicate more prosecutors and more drug agents to the work of getting fentanyl off of our streets.
Stein's office said the proposed fentanyl control unit would cost several $1 million each year. The parents in Crisis Next Door urge families to pay attention before it's too late.
We all tried different things and different combinations of things, and then we each wish we had done the thing the other person did, but we ended up with the same outcome. Our kids are dead.
You can watch Crisis Next Door on WRAL.com. I'm WRAL investigative documentary reporter Kristen Severance.
Such a powerful documentary. The State House put $1.2 million in its budget to fund the unit. Governor Stein had requested $2.5 million. The Senate and the House still have to negotiate a final budget deal. A vote is not expected until later this year. The Rocky Mount Police Department is offering a free tool to fight opioid abuse. Deterra drug deactivation pouches are now available at the front desk of the police station. All you have to do is to put unused medication in the pouch, add warm water, and shake it up, then throw it away. The pouches are available while they last. If you miss out or you'd prefer dropping off unused medications in person, there is a drug drop-off box in the police department lobby. Meteorologist Kat Campbell down on the weather patio on a glorious day, Kat, today, despite a little haze in the air.
A little hazy from some wildfire smoke in Canada. That's at least where the wildfires are originating from, but the air quality hasn't been too bad today. It's just going to make for a pretty nice sunset again tonight. You can see that glow of the sun in the distance over North Hills. Check it out. It'll be worth seeing. Usually the wildfire smoke can amount to some really nice sunsets, as long as it's at the right height in the atmosphere and not low enough to really affect air quality. 76 degrees right now, the dew point 47. That is why it feels so good today. The dew point is in the 40s. The lower that number is, the better it feels. Once it gets above 60, gradually it starts to feel a bit less comfortable outside. And we know that's coming. After all, it is June now. The summer warmth is with us. The humidity holds off until later in the week, though. 86 for the high tomorrow, 88 Wednesday. By Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, as highs near 90. That's when the humidity starts to climb again as well. So a heads up, those days it's definitely going to feel more summer-like. Look at this trend on the Muggy meter and how quickly it is likely to climb. The pool planner tomorrow looks great. It should be a great day to head out to the pool if you want to. 61 at 8 a.m. by noon, 80 degrees. And then once we get a little later into the afternoon hours, we'll see our highs reach the mid to upper 80s once again. Full sunshine all day long after the unsettled weather that we've had lately. That's nice to hear. You may actually need to water your garden given how warm it is going to be outside as we get into the next couple of days. Even though we've seen some rain lately, by Thursday and Friday rain chances are 20%. And that would likely be closer to the coast. Once we get to the weekend, that chance will be higher once again. So let's talk about the weekend. We have been taking a closer look at the tropics off the top of the newscast, and notice that little swirl there by Thursday afternoon off the Carolina coast. That is the low pressure system that has a low 10% chance of taking on some tropical characteristics. You can see closer to the coast again on Friday, and with it, it's going to be churning up some rough waters probably and lead to an increased rip current risk. Still, the weekend would be the better chance for rain, and the chance of this developing in the first place remains relatively low right now at 10%. The good news here, even if worst case scenario, the chance of it developing goes up, and it does develop, it's just going to be so close to the coast, it won't have very much time to strengthen. Here's your 7-day forecast. 86 tomorrow, 88 Wednesday with a slight increase in cloud cover. High temperatures keep climbing after that. We're in the 90s Friday and Saturday. Sunday, a chance of isolated storms, and it may be a little less hot once we get to next week. Hopefully you saw our little buddy running behind me here. We had a special visitor out at the WRAL Gardens today. Got to see a nice dog running around. So it's just a nice day to be out here. We saw some people even doing some painting work earlier, Gerald.
A great day to do anything outside. Thank you, Kat. Still ahead, exploring their world. The Red Wolf pups at the Museum of Life and Science in Durham are making their way outdoors when you have the best chance of catching a glimpse of them in person. We can't get enough of this video. The pups are out. The Museum of Life and Sciences in Durham is sharing this video of their red wolf pups exploring outside their den. The three brothers are nearly a month old and recently started making their way out into the habitat more regularly. The red wolf exhibit at the museum reopened today. They say the best time to get out there to see the pups is early in the morning when the museum opens or late in the afternoon before they close. There is a new memorial in North Carolina honoring the black men who fought during the Civil War. There was a ceremony in Plymouth for the opening of the memorial. It recognizes the 35th Regiment of the Union Army that was primarily composed of people who were formerly enslaved. It was one of the first all-black units. The 35th saw battle in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Florida. The men who reenact the lives of some of those soldiers say their sacrifice is essential to black history.
I hope everybody takes away the fact that African Americans fought for their freedom. Our freedom was not given to us. We fought and earned our freedom.
Family members, historians, and community members spoke about what the 35th stood for and how important it is to preserve their history at this weekend ceremony. You can see the memorial marker outside the Carthagena Lodge. The Juneteenth flag is now flying high outside the Durham courthouse. Leaders held the third annual flag raising this morning. The flag was hoisted by the Montford Point Marines. That's the first African Americans to serve in the Marine Corps during World War II. This year marks the 4th year since Durham County government officially recognized Juneteenth as a county holiday.
Rather, let us recognize that the sobering truth is we have much work to do. Let us commit to continue the fight together for equal protection under the law for all residents, for the right to protect our communities by working together and not being divided.
Juneteenth commemorates June 19, 1865, the day when Union soldiers arrived in Galveston, Texas, notifying residents that the Civil War was over and enslaved people were free. Thank you for making WRAL your choice for local news. Our next newscast is 10 o'clock on Fox 50 and 11 o'clock here on WRAL. Have a great night.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.